There is a version of you that nobody has met yet. A version so disciplined, so forged, so terrifyingly calm that people who once ignored you will stop mid-sentence when you walk into a room. Not because you changed your clothes, not because you got louder, but because something shifted deep inside the cave where nobody was watching, and that shift made you dangerous in the most silent way possible. Most men spend their entire lives performing growth. They post it. They announce it. They talk about who they're becoming before they've even begun the war inside themselves. And that is exactly why they never transform. But what if the most powerful thing you could do right now is disappear? What if the darkness wasn't your enemy, but your forge? What if silence wasn't weakness, but the very fire that turns iron into a blade? This is not motivation. This is a warning. What you are about to hear will either awaken something ancient inside you, or you'll scroll away and stay exactly the same. The choice is already revealing your character. Marcus Aurelius did not rule Rome by broadcasting his becoming. He wrote in private journals, fought his battles in silence, and showed the world nothing until the transformation was complete. Epictetus, born a slave in chains, forged a philosophy of iron not by complaining about his condition, but by mastering the only kingdom he truly owned, his mind. This is the forgotten law of Stoic transformation. The greats did not grow in the light. They grew in the cave. They bled in the dark. They trained when nobody applauded, when nobody watched, when nobody even believed in them. And then, only then, did they emerge unrecognizable. Think about it. Every dragon that ever became feared spent years in a mountain before anyone knew its name. Every storm that ever broke the world began as invisible pressure, building quietly beneath the surface. The Stoics understood something that the modern world has completely forgotten. Real power is never announced. It is revealed. And by the time it is revealed, it is already unstoppable. Lesson 1. Silence is not absence, it is preparation. The moment you stop explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand your journey, something extraordinary happens inside you. The energy you were wasting trying to justify your path, that energy turns inward. It becomes fuel. It becomes fire. Most men are addicted to validation. They need someone to witness the rep, to see the sacrifice, to acknowledge the pain. And that need, that desperate, invisible hunger for approval, is the very chain that keeps them small. The Stoics called it hegemonikon, the ruling faculty of the mind. And they taught that when you let external voices enter that space, you hand control of your inner kingdom to people who haven't even conquered their own. Be honest, how much of what you do daily is for you? And how much is a performance for an audience that isn't even paying attention? Silence is not emptiness. Silence is a forge. And in that forge, the version of you that nobody expects is being shaped, hammered, and hardened with every hour you invest in secret. Lesson 2. The war nobody sees is the only war that matters. There is a war happening inside every man who has ever decided to change. And the cruelest truth about this war is that it has no witnesses. No crowd, no medal ceremony. Just you, alone, at 5 a.m., deciding once again whether you are the man you claim to be or just another person with good intentions and no discipline. This is where most men quit. Not because the path is too hard, but because the silence becomes unbearable. Because they start to wonder whether anyone will ever notice. Whether the sacrifice is worth it. Whether they are becoming something real or just fooling themselves. But here is what the Stoics knew that weak men never discover. The war nobody sees is the only war that builds a soul. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The mountain does not care if the storm is watching. The mountain simply stands. What would happen if you committed to fighting that invisible war for 1 full year, with zero announcement, zero validation, zero performance? Almost nobody realizes this until it's too late. The men who train in silence don't just become stronger. They become different. Fundamentally, permanently, unrecognizably different. If this message is awakening something inside you, subscribe now, because the next lesson may change the way you see yourself forever. Lesson 3. The Forge demands everything. The Forge does not negotiate. It does not care about your feelings, your excuses, your past, or your plans. It only responds to one thing: heat applied consistently over time. And that heat is discipline, not the Instagram kind. Not the kind that lasts until Monday, but the cold, quiet, relentless kind that burns even when you feel nothing. Epictetus taught that we must distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. And in that teaching lives the most liberating and terrifying truth of self-mastery. The only thing you ever truly control is your response, your effort, and your consistency. Everything else is noise. The next principle is the one most people refuse to accept. Real transformation requires a period of isolation that will feel like death before it feels like rebirth. There will be days when the cave feels like a tomb, when the silence feels like punishment, when the progress feels invisible and the doubt feels deafening. This is not a sign that something is wrong. This is the Forge doing exactly what it is designed to do, burning away everything that was never truly you. Think about it. Gold does not apologize for the heat it endures. It simply becomes gold. Lesson 4. Become unrecognizable or remain comfortable. The most dangerous thing you can do in this life is remain recognizable. Because the version of you that people recognize right now, that version was shaped by old pain, old stories that were never really yours to carry. Would people recognize you after this transformation? Good, that should be the goal. There is a particular kind of man who decides one silent morning that he is done being the person the world expects him to be. He doesn't announce it. He doesn't post about it. He simply begins. He trains harder. He reads deeper. He eats cleaner. He sleeps earlier. He speaks less and means more. He cuts the noise, and in the silence that remains, he builds something that even his enemies will one day respect. But most men fail here. They make the decision, and then they wait for life to confirm it. They want the transformation to be visible before the transformation is complete. And when the mirror doesn't change fast enough, they abandon the Forge and return to comfort. The Stoics understood that a man is not his circumstances. A man is the sum of the choices he makes when no one is watching, when the war is invisible, when the reward is distant, and when the pain is very, very real. Your character is built in those moments and nowhere else. Warning: the man you are capable of becoming will terrify the version of you that is reading this right now. That terror is not a reason to stop. That terror is proof that the distance between where you are and where you could be is real and worth every silent, suffering, sacred step. Close your eyes for a moment and see it clearly. 1 year from now, you walk into a room and something has changed. Not the room, but the energy you carry into it. People feel it before they understand it. There is a stillness to you, a calm that doesn't apologize and doesn't explain. Your eyes carry something ancient, the quiet fire of a man who spent a year in the cave and came out sharper than a blade tempered in storm and ice. The people who doubted you don't recognize this version. Your own reflection will take a moment to register, because the man looking back at you from that mirror was forged in silence, built in darkness, and revealed when the time was right and not a moment before. This is not fantasy. This is the mathematical result of discipline applied in secret over time. This is what the Stoics meant by becoming. Not performing a new identity, but carving it, slowly, painfully, beautifully, out of the raw iron of your daily choices. That man is waiting. The Forge is open. The silence is ready. The world will always reward the loudest voice in the room. But history remembers the men who trained in silence until the silence itself became legendary. You are standing at the entrance of the cave right now. The question is not whether you are capable of transformation. The question is whether you are willing to disappear long enough to become something that has never existed before. Drop a comment below. Tell me, what is the one thing you are willing to sacrifice in silence to become unrecognizable? Your answer matters. Let the Brotherhood witness it. If this awakens something in you, subscribe to the channel. More truths are coming that the world doesn't want you to hear. And remember this always, the dragon does not ask permission to breathe fire. It simply burns, and the world learns to move.